but it is great to have you join us all for this brilliant circuit. The Temple of Speed, what a vast track full of overtaking opportunities and plenty of opportunities to go side by side. 11 corners, and we will see in just... And here we are then, the lights coming up on the board, and we are all ready then for 9 laps of pure racing mayhem, as it looks like DuckLovers has jumped the start here right away without even getting a chance to get moving yet, and that penalty will haunt him, I am sure, as he will have to serve it. Now, Adezi lining up to the outside of Alex Fox Johnson and trying to best his rival into the first corner. However, Alex Fox Johnson putting on the brakes and not allowing Adezi an inside line. However, Adezi now finds himself around the outside of Alex Fox Johnson, and he does pull that overtake off. Alex Fox Johnson tucking into the slipstream, now lining up to the inside of the Williams driver, who squeezes him a little bit to said inside line, and now into Variante della Roggia. They go side by side, leaving each other ample space right up until the exit, where Alex Fox Johnson gets forced off the circuit by Adezi, who then now has to contend with Wesley immediately in his rearview mirrors. The Haas driver looking so very quick. Now lining up, is he going to try and move down the inside of Adezi? No, he covers it off, does the Williams driver, into the second Lesmo, but looking very, very squirrely on the brakes to the intermediates, at least for the time being, although notably Ethan Patel going into the pits, and I wonder if that may be a change of tires for him, as Wesley twitches out the rear end twice through the first Lesmo down the inside. He will absolutely try. The two touch just ever so slightly, and once again Alex Fox Johnson finds himself around the outside of Variante della Roggia. He tries to cover off Silvi, but Silvi is not to be deterred. He puts a foot down the inside of Alex Fox Johnson through the first Lesmo, but the Alpine driver making sure to keep the minimum speed up through the corner. Predictable weather, you really never know for certain. Wesley dropping to a gap of 8.5, 9/10 from Adezi now, as Silvi once again lines up to the outside of Alex Fox Johnson. And this time he does make the moves a little bit. These two drivers look evenly matched as far as pace at the moment right now. Meanwhile, Leaky Valley, the Red Bull trying to put up a defense against Dougie Falcons, and he fails to do so. Swings their way in any capacity, but you got to think that the wet weather tires will hold up until the end of the race. By now, as Silvi goes deep into the first corner, he collides with Alex Fox Johnson, actually, as he tries to return to the circuit. The two cars go side by side on exit for the first corner. So the likes of Adezi, Meepo, and Jaquan, by the looks of it, pitting for brand new tires. This is an interesting development because there's only a couple of laps of racing remaining in last driver's car. Meanwhile, Silvi right on the back of him as well as they rocket to the first corner. Everybody being very, very ginger on the brakes, making sure to not create any issues as Becky B victimizes the McLaren of No Name and makes that overtake happen, skidding out the rear tires there on exit from turn number 2. Now, Adezi fighting Camborne in the back, but all eyes on Alex Fox Johnson and Wesley, who go alongside one another into Variante della Roggia. This time, Alex Fox Johnson finds himself on the inside of the second corner, but he does let off. Wesley will take this checkered flag, and he will win the sprint race. Alex Fox Johnson retains his second position, Silvi in third. Then No Name in fourth, Becky B concedes. Oh, as there's a serious collision in the back, we can see is that Adezi spun off the circuit. He returns. And as the lights come on now, we have 5 of them up on the board. Wesley on the outside, Alex Fox Johnson on the inside, and we are racing around the Temple of Speed in Italy. Becky B already in the middle of a bunch of drivers, and there's a huge collision between him and it looks like Andrew No Silvi, and it looks like Becky B may have just gotten sandwiched between the two of them. Wesley nearly spins the car on the first 2 apexes, and Alex Fox Johnson overtakes him. Becky B already all over the back of the Haas driver.
They had a very interesting first couple of corners there. DuckLovers avoiding action and then spinning on exit from the first, not spinning, but losing his rear end on exit from the first couple of corners, and then it allowed Adezi to get ahead of him, and now Andrew S. as well. I wonder if DuckLovers has damage from that incident.
There's an exchange of positions between Wesley and Alex Fox Johnson, but just look at the exit Becky B got from Variante Ascari. Now he's blasting his overtake fully. Alex Fox Johnson moves to the middle. Becky B backs out, now looking to the inside line of Parabolica. There's just no room for the Ferrari driver to go as he taps Alex Fox Johnson just ever so slightly on entry to Parabolica. That's a go-karting. Now they're banging wheels down the main straight. It looks like Alex Fox Johnson picking up a little bit more of the slipstream from Wesley than Becky B is, and now moving to the inside line. line. Becky B still unable to make any inroads against these two drivers. Meanwhile, so very close for Charles Leclerc in the mid-pack there as Cam Bourne has ascended down up to 6th position now. So maybe not too much damage for him. You can see Adezi there going side by side with Leaky Valve a little bit farther in the back. Both these drivers on the hard compound tires, so Leaky will not necessarily have much of an advantage as he finds himself on the inside of Parabolic. A flurry of fastest laps being set here by the leader. S action later on this lap. Now, side-by-side stuff between Wesley and Alex Fox Johnson, and he gets the inside for the second apex of this first corner. Wesley gets taken into the gravel by the new race leader, and Becky B manages to secure that second position this season remaining because, of course, he's got so many already. He's looking at a suspension if he exceeds 20 penalty points. So Becky B, despite the DRS advantage, unable to make any serious, anything serious happen against Impressed in an F1 car because the distance from your head to the front wing is about 1/10 of a second. So once again, Becky B gets forced to the outside of the first corner. Behind them, No Name and Dougie Falcons going side by side. Still they go wheel to wheel. And the Aston Martin driver looks to have the upper hand as he gets the inside line into Curva Grande. Back to Becky B, who once again chooses the outside line, but this time he is substantially clear of Alex Fox Johnson going into Variante della Roggia. The two make contact, and once again, Alex Fox Johnson shown the gravel. Wesley now finds himself along the inside of Becky B, and he takes that leadership position now over the Ferrari driver. Becky B just can't seem to get clear enough into the lead to maintain it, but that touch with Alex Fox Johnson cost him a little bit of time. Now, Becky B using a little bit of overtake once again to pull up alongside the outside of Wesley into Variante Ascario. This is terrifying stuff, but Becky B at the moment now, we're about to see some 3-wide action most likely as Alex Fox Johnson pulls to the inside of Wesley using that DRS. Wesley, of course, has DRS to his own name, and now Becky B takes a defensive inside line. Alex Fox Johnson nearly locks the brakes into the first corner as he goes side by side with Wesley now, and Becky B just hanging on by the skin of his teeth. These two drivers still wheel to wheel now as they rocket around Curva Grande. That is flat out, of course. And Alex Fox Johnson forces Wesley into the grass. Wesley says, I don't care, I have off-road tires, I'm gonna go anyway. And now they touch on the inside of Variante della Roggia, and Wesley loses out as he is forced to concede to No Name now.
We'll catch up on Charles while he's down in P12 after an amazing start. He completely missed the first corner and had to let about 5 or 6 cars go by before he was able to rejoin the track.
15th in the pits, actually, he goes. Both Mercedes having an abysmal race, and this is not going to help their championship chances after they look like they'd be able to walk away easily with a second position. So, No Name in the McLaren, now overtaking Alex Fox Johnson down the inside of...
yeah, DuckLovers definitely signs a good move on Cam Bourne. Cam Bourne does not have any battery to defend. DuckLovers just pressing a bit of overtake to get him side by side, but he's not going to get cleanly ahead of him into the corner. Side by side, they go into turn 1. DuckLovers takes the inside line, and Cam Bourne thinks of doing a switchback. No space, but DuckLovers is a little squirrely on exit. He gets that move done well, though, as Cam Bourne also having rear end issues.
That he does, and this is just, this is almost 3-wide stuff between No Name, Wesley, and Alex Fox Johnson into Variante della Roggia. And look at Wesley's exit from the second apex, being smart and just waiting for the dust to settle there.
The battles between Adezi and his fellow racers around him compared to DuckLovers. DuckLovers not making up as many positions, but there goes Adezi on Jaquan. It looks like he's just making easy work of all the people around him. So he gets the move done.
A big backup there into the first corner. Adezi making it past Zay here. Something behind Zay to allow him to open up that rear wing. Becky B in the pits as these two drivers go side by side down the main straight. Both of them with DRS, let's not forget. And DuckLovers on the outside of the first corner will be able to keep a wing in there. He does, but he collides with Jay Waddle. He spins him all the way around, too, for good measure. Immerses himself into a really nice gap, though. About 8 seconds behind Ninja. And Wesley, that's right, pulling off to the inside, or to the outside of Alex Fox Johnson using the DRS, and that is
a little bit on exit from the second chicane. Charles stays cleanly ahead as Ninja is now getting in the mix.
Big collision, Wheaton, a huge collision between Ninja and Silvi, and Silvi actually gets absolutely smashed off the track as Ninja, Cam Bourne, and Charles Leclerc even closer to him, getting an abysmal entry into Parabolic. Oh, Zay nearly spins the car. Zay nearly spins the car, collects it, but that allows side by side with Becky B. The Ferrari driver takes the inside line. Adezi looking for room on that inside apex, but no. Becky B shuts the door on him, says no thanks. And DuckLovers, of course, closer in the Drivers' Championship as well. Maybe he can stage an offensive against As we have as by the looks of it, we have. Oh, that is DuckLovers in the wall. I spoke too soon, Wheaton. That wasn't even a commentator curse. I wasn't even watching it. It's this corner and even closer between Andres and Ninja here as the two of them go side by side into the second Lesbo. The McLaren would like a refutation, but no, not able to secure the outside, but the Mercedes driver twitches out the rear end and Ninja overtakes him. Want to time their move, but really it's more about Silly takes the amount of curb through the second apex of Ascari that I didn't think was possible. And he gets a phenomenal exit for it as well. Look at him blast past Camborne and not have that wing open. And now the closing speed is massive. The Mercedes driver looking to try something down the inside. He does. He commits to the move. Zay around the outside will have the inside of the next corner. And will the Mercedes have enough grip to drag race Zay into Curva Grande? He does. And those two neck and neck. Zay slowly conceding that position. It is right there, right behind him, ready to pick up any pieces if it goes south. So Alex Fox Johnson closer than ever in the DRS, now pulling to the outside of Wesley, and look at that overspeed. He switches to the inside line and manages to secure that overtake. Now he's putting the rest of that battery to use. Wesley is flashing, but the McLaren driver not quite close enough to pull off that overtake, and on exit Wesley slides out the rear end of the Haas, and No Name will pull up alongside him. Neck in neck they go, and No Name nudges him. Alex Fox Johnson comes across the line to win the Italian Grand Prix. No Name bests Wesley in the very final corner, Wheaton, and Wesley does come home in third. Still a good position, a good finish for him. Adezi in fourth place. Long overdue, but he's had the performances to get up to the top step this whole season, and finally managing to put it all together is the Alpine driver redeeming himself. A really